Now we have Will Warren, the co-founder of 0x and Matcha, as well as Charles Guillemet, the Chief Technology Officer of Ledger, to chat about onboarding users to the Ethereum ecosystem via account abstraction and EVM-L2s.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's get started. Thank you so much for joining us, Charles. Really excited to have you here. So, for those that don't know, Ledger builds the most popular hardware device for self-custodying crypto assets. And actually, one of the two things that helped me onboard to crypto back in 2015 or 2016 was my Ledger Nano. And so I've been a long-time user and big-time fan of Ledger for a long time. And I think this story is true for a lot of people. A lot of people were able to onboard to crypto for the first time using a Ledger hardware wallet and a fiat on-ramp. And one of the important things for us as we continue to grow adoption of crypto is that we're able to onboard more people. And so in the early days with Bitcoin and Ethereum, we've been able to support, hundreds of thousands, maybe a million or so people. But in order for us to expand beyond that into global, a global scale, we need to be able to support way more users, way more scalability. And this has necessitated layer 2 networks, and we're starting to see innovations like account abstraction become more common. And so, yeah, I would love to hear from you, Charles, how you guys have been thinking about onboarding more users in a multi-chain world.
Yes, sure. So in the last cycle, what we saw, we really hit the limits of the blockchain scalability. If you remember, there was a small application called OpenSea. It's a very simple application, and this application simply broke Ethereum because of the non-scalability of Ethereum chain. So this was a big issue, and we have the same issue on Bitcoin, but on Bitcoin you only want to do just simple transaction. On Ethereum you really want to execute code, so we need to solve the scalability. And the good news is during these past 3 years we have seen a lot of progress in terms of scalability with L2s in particular, and now we are really in a good situation where we have these scalability layers that will allow to implement plenty of new dApps and new use cases. And one of the interesting use cases that is enabled by this scalability is account abstraction, as you said. When you consider Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are built with what we call EOA for externally owned account. This idea is very simple but very elegant. You just generate a pair of keys, a public key and a private key, and your public key is essentially your address, and that's it. You have an account. It's brilliant, but if you want to implement something more complex in terms of governance, in terms of what you want to do with your account, this is very limited. All the rest can be done off-chain, but you would like to implement this complexity on-chain. And that's why account abstraction and L2s can really solve this problem. With account abstraction, you can implement a wallet with different spending conditions. You can have different type of signers, and you can implement recovery mechanism. Plenty of such features that are really necessary for users. This is really where we are. Also, if you think about onboarding new users, we really need to think about users who are not as geeks as us, let's say, they don't want to know about cryptography, to know about what is a public key, what is a private key. And with account abstraction, we can create interesting experiences where your account can be unlocked by your passkeys, for instance, or by your email. And there are a few interesting use cases where you simply go to your regular website and you connect to your wallet only with your email address or with your passkeys, and you don't even know there is a wallet at the end. This is the kind of experience that can be done, and that is really, really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like this is also something that's becoming a lot more feasible more recently, whereas I think people have been talking about account abstraction for a number of years. I think like Vitalik was talking about moving, I think he was talking about having kind of multi-sigs was one of the ideas floating around in the early days of Ethereum, kind of foregoing EOAs altogether and just having multi-sigs. But it really took a number of years before these types of ideas became kind of feasible to put in front of users and for users to understand how to actually interact with them.
Yeah, and one of the things that unlock this possibility is really the fact that we have scalable layers now with L2s. Because if you want to do that on Ethereum, technically this is possible, but you will pay your every single transaction very, very expensively. So this is a problem. So what really unlocks for me this type of experience is the fact that we have the infrastructure, we have cheap blockchain space that really unlock this experience.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and I think like even an example of that is like Gnosis Safe. So a lot of people in the Ethereum space rely on like a Gnosis Safe to create a kind of multi-sig wallet that provides kind of controls over how different assets can be accessed or utilized. But what we've seen is, while it is used, but it's very expensive, and it's not really feasible for like an individual to adopt something like a Gnosis Safe. And so making something like account abstraction possible, yeah, is kind of necessary to provide those benefits to like an individual versus like maybe a team or a company that wants to custody in a more kind of complex way.
Yeah, Gnosis Safe was one of the precursors of account abstraction. This account abstraction word became really buzzy after the ERC 4337 launched exactly 1 year ago here in Denver. But this idea is not new. As you said, Vitalik was talking about that a long time ago. Gnosis Safe can be seen as account abstraction. Now we are in a situation where we have this framework, which is 4337, and we can do plenty of things. And one of the interesting ideas that can be implemented with account abstraction is the following. You will create an abstracted account with a spending condition, and let's say you will be able to say, I can spend up to 100 USD a day, and for this 100 USD, I can confirm a transaction only with my smartphone using passkeys. And if I want to make a bigger transaction, or if I want to interact with this specific NFT that is very valuable for me, then I need to use my ledger for that. This is something that you can express with account abstraction, and that is really, really, really powerful. Because if you want to do that today, you will have several wallets that are not connected with each other, and you don't have a unified experience. So this is a very powerful idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing what will be implemented. And now I feel we are a little bit in a situation where plenty of teams are working on this idea and are creating a different flavor of account abstraction, and it will create like fragmented experiences where you have plenty of different implementation with different features and with different ways to interact with them. So we are really in this situation, and I'd like to be like in 2 years from now where we will know which was the best standard, because it will converge back to the most relevant experiences, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So not only like the user experience, but another big consideration with account abstraction and providing users like more flexibility around how different keys can access funds. Another big consideration is security. And how do we present users with an experience that is seamless, that kind of abstracts away some of the technology in the back end. But how do you do that in a way that kind of preserves security for end users? And I think that's an area where your team has spent a lot of time thinking about it, and kind of curious on your perspective on that.
Yeah, and I think I had plenty of discussion at HCC in Paris last year. That was the beginning of this craze around account abstraction, and I had a lot of questions around: is it a threat for Ledger because now you don't need there is no seed anymore and so on? And this is really a misunderstanding because. When you have an abstracted account, you still need to secure the access to the keys. So maybe you don't want to use like a regular seed to as the signers. You can do that. You can do that with passkeys and so on. But it doesn't change the fact that you need to secure the credentials that allow you to interact with the smart contract. Otherwise, you will lose your money the same way you lose your money when you lose your seed. And I think seeds remain a good way, a good standard, because you have the standard, you can recover on other type of wallets and so on, which is not the case with passkeys, for instance. If you want to recover passkeys on another device, there is no standard. Apple has its own standard. Android, this is another, and also you have to rely on this provider, so this is probably not something which is suitable for everyone. So yeah, this is really something that needs to be taken into consideration, and at the end, your abstracted wallet will be as secure as the governance policies that you will implement on it, and the way you are securing the credential, the secret, which could be a seed or a passkeys on your end. So this is really something, there is no magic. It's not because you have an abstracted wallet that it will be magically secure. You still have to consider what are your spending conditions, what are your policies, and where your secrets are, and how do you interact with them. And another interesting thing to have in mind, again with this passkeys experience, when you sign a challenge with passkeys, you don't have the intent. So because FIDO2 do not embed attributes in the protocol, so you just sign randomly a challenge, which is fine because it's very convenient and so on. But if you are interacting with a smart contract and you have no idea what you are signing, so maybe you are signing the transaction you wanted to sign, but maybe you are simply giving away your wallet. And here it's simply not possible to implement clear signing because FIDO2 do not implement this intent property.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if anyone else here has experienced this, but I definitely have personally, where I'm interacting with some sort of like Web3 application, and I see kind of like a big blob of text pop up, and it's like a hash of a data structure explaining what's going to happen on chain, but you really don't have any idea what exactly signing this blob might actually set off, like what chain of events it can actually set off. And so I know providing kind of visibility into what is it that you are signing and what are kind of the impacts of or state changes that can occur as a result of signing a specific data structure. Yeah, I'm curious like how you guys have been thinking about that. I know more recently with like ClearSign. Yeah, curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Today we are in a situation where we are putting our seeds into hardware wallet, and which is a very good idea, and then quite often we are interacting with different smart contracts, and we are simply signing hashes, and we pretend it's okay. It's not. It's definitely not. When you sign a hash, maybe you are giving away all your assets. So this is not an acceptable situation. This is really why we are working on solving this problem, and we have an internal initiative which is called ClearSign all the things. And the objective is really to provide to the users with all the information for him to understand what kind of transaction he is about to consent, and what could be the impact of this transaction. And there are really two aspects. There is the first thing, like really understanding what's inside the the input data that you're about to sign. And secondly, there is what will be executed on the chain, which is even more a difficult problem. So for the first problem, we are collaborating with dApps and wallets in order to provide a metadata file to the device so that the device is able to parse the transaction and understand what's inside the input data. So this metadata file will simply say the name of the method is this, and the parameters are located in this offset, and so on. And on the device, you will be able to understand that you are not like signing a hash, but you are swapping 32 USDT against 0.1 Ethereum, and this is what will be written on the device, so that you can clearly understand what kind of interaction you are doing. And the second thing is a service that is provided by a few players, such as Blockhead, Exagate, and Blowfish, which is really interesting. Is the fact that you can simulate the transaction and try to understand what will be the impact of the execution of this transaction. And there's two things are really important to take the right decision on what you are going to. Will you sign this transaction or not? You will have really more insight, and it's not about just signing a hash that you don't understand what are the consequences. So this is really one of the big focus for Ledger this year. And it's not only about Ledger, it's really about the whole ecosystem, and we want to embed everyone with us in this venture. We are working with dApps, we are working with wallets, with Wallet Connect, with MetaMask, with Wabi, also with hardware wallet, and we really want to raise the bar for security for everyone. It's not acceptable to sign hash. Signing a hash is exactly the same as signing a blank check and hoping that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. All right. So I have to take the opportunity to brag about my awesome teammates, because we've been focused on very similar problems, because they're just as important when users are swapping on like a decentralized exchange. So yeah, a number of years back, a few of my teammates, Remco, Leonid, and Jacob, they actually developed EIP 712, which is kind of the Ethereum standard for structuring data in a way where users can kind of see what they're signing, and you can kind of hash it and sign it in a way that's more transparent, and yeah, very much feel like it's an important piece. Also, got to give another shout out to Blowfish founding team, also 0x alumni, and yeah, super proud to see what they've been doing as well on the security side.
Yeah, and by the way, we really took inspiration from EIP 7112 because this is just a structured way to provide the users with the information to understand what he is about to do. So we are at the beginning of this initiative. Now we are taking some feedback from the ecosystem, and if you have some, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And after that, we will try to implement this. And the idea is to do this on Ethereum and EVM in general first, but the idea is really to secure the whole ecosystem. Bitcoin is easier because the type of interaction are simpler, but for other chains, there will be the exact same problem.
Yeah. So signing, kind of user security, handling cryptographic keys and managing accounts, like that's one important aspect of allowing like multi-chain to be more accessible and kind of onboarding new users. There's a couple of challenges in this transition to multi-chain and layer 2 networks. And yeah, curious how you have encountered these, the Ledger team has encountered these in your own consumer products.
Yeah, so all those things where we are solving the scalability challenges of a blockchain is really good for us, for the ecosystem. Account abstraction is also a big progress in the user experience and in what we can do with our wallets. Nonetheless, we are at the beginning of this with plenty of ideas, plenty of standards, and it will create a lot of fragmentation. Fragmentation in the liquidity. When you have hundreds of different L2s, that means that the liquidity will be spread over these L2s, which is not good for DeFi. It's not good. It makes the DeFi less efficient to have fragmentation of capital. And also there will be fragmentation in the user experiences because you have different L2s, different account abstraction, and all of this will be different. And let's think about these newcomers. They will be onboarded with account abstraction, and then we will explain them, oh, now you have to bridge your asset to Ethereum in order to go to your L2, and if you want to go from one L2 to another, you will have to use other bridge again, and it will be another wallet with another abstracted account. So it can create less good experience at the end, which was exactly what we wanted to avoid. So we will go through this period where there is no standard, there are many standards, and at some point one standard will win. I hope so. But from now to this moment, I think there will be some trouble and some challenges around that.
Yeah. Good news is, you do have, you are starting to see some solutions to these fragmentation issues. A couple of the things that we're building at 0x and Matcha, like really kind of one of our core priorities is to eliminate the complexity of accessing tokens or liquidity, regardless of where they may be located, and ensuring that you're always going to get the best price. So with our 0x trading APIs, we aggregate liquidity across 8 different EVM blockchains, over 130 liquidity sources, and our goal is to really make it super simple to provide a delightful and cohesive experience for consumers. And that's also what we're looking to achieve within Matcha, which is our consumer product powered by 0x trading APIs. And yeah, it looks like we are at time.
Yeah, maybe one last question for you. Like, what are you the most excited about in terms of new use case for the future? Because we have this new layer of scalability, new possibility with account abstraction. But then the question is what we will do with all this cheap blockchain space. What are you excited about?
Yeah, well, so I think this ultimately comes back to the question of why is any of this technology important at all? Like, why are all these smart people dedicating their lives to working on blockchain technology? There's lots of cool stuff you can go and work on in the world. Why work on this? And I think the answer to that is that ultimately this technology has the potential to be extremely disruptive and to democratize access to financial services on a global scale. And so today, a lot of your opportunity in life kind of boils down to where you happen to be born or where you're geographically located, and that's not something that any of us control. And so by being able to move things like stable coins and tokenizing assets on blockchain rails that are globally accessible, ultimately that should allow us to do something that's worthwhile with this technology. And it's still very early on, and we haven't been able to reach kind of global scale and have that type of impact. But that's our mission at 0x, is to eliminate the complexity of accessing tokens and markets, and hopefully to do that at a global scale. So, yeah.
Cool, pretty exciting. I see we need to wrap up. I see a couple of questions, so let's take them offline just after. So thank you very much for your attention.